From the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks, this is Studio One.
Hi everyone and welcome to Studio One. I'm Tasha Olson.
And I'm Biernat.
Today on the show, 80% of Australia's plant and animal life can't be found anywhere else in the world. We'll meet a few critters that you won't spot in your backyard.
Also, while pets like dogs and cats are allowed within most city limits, some feathery friends are restricted to living in the country. But some say the pros of urban chickens outweigh the cons. But first, homeopathy has become one of the more controversial alternatives to modern medicine, and now the Federal Drug Administration is revisiting its policies on these natural remedies. The FDA says that the more data is necessary to better assess the risks and benefits. Right now, homeopathic remedies like St. John's wort or cold ease can be manufactured and sold without prior approval from regulators. Those who prefer this natural treatment say there are rarely side effects when healing less severe issues like headaches and allergies.
They're used for all different kinds of, I would say, minor ailments, because homeopathy can't cure cancer, or fix a broken leg.
The general principle of natural treatments is that like cures like. This means a substance that causes certain symptoms can also help to remove those symptoms.
Drones may soon be flying into the medical field. A report by Popular Science says UAVs could be used for delivering blood to critically injured patients. Blood comes with an expiration date. Certain parts, like the platelets and plasma, survive less than 1 week. Larger hospitals receive daily shipments of blood by courier service or the highway patrol. Instead, drones could ship on demand, taking off as soon as the EMS call is made. Before drones can start transporting blood, developers must prove that they are reliable and won't risk lives.
For many, the perks of living in the countryside are tough to beat. Now, city dwellers are flocking to put their own touch on a farming trend.
Come on, chicks. In this backyard, the cattle are content, the ground is scattered with hay, and there's no fowl for chickens to roam freely.
We're kind of always looking to get back out in the country.
After making a recent move to the country, Angie and her family grew a flock of over 60 protein-producing pets.
We get eggs. I think I have about 60 hens, so we get anywhere from 2 to 4 dozen eggs a day.
Not only does harvesting eggs save Angie and her family money on produce, but the chickens eat bugs around the yard and act as a natural garden fertilizer. Angie says they even come with their own personalities.
We have one of the black and white barred rocks that I call her Penelope. She likes to sit up by the door.
Backyard chickens are quickly gaining popularity, but for some residents, it's a tough egg to crack.
The ordinance that is in place is you can't have chickens within the city limits.
Grand Forks, North Dakota is not alone in refusing chickens within the city. Many communities have rejected ordinances that would allow for birds like these in an urban environment. Noise, odor, and public health issues are all a concern.
It affects more than just that individual homeowner, and the city has to look at the better of the city.
For Angie and her family, rural living fit their lifestyle.
I just love them. I don't think chickens would be I wouldn't think they would bother people much.
Whether used as food or pet, the movement of urban chickens continues to spread and is catching attention of city officials. With photographer Marty Mueller, I'm Jake Ocken, reporting for Studio One.
The United Nations reports that over 800 million people across the world grow fruits or vegetables or raise animals inside city limits. And that's the news for now. Tasha, just think about how much money they're saving by having that grocery list item in their backyard.
Yeah, and those eggs are probably as fresh as they can ever get. Thanks, Phil. Let's go now to Morgan Murphy for the weather news. Morgan?
Thanks, Tasha. This week in the country, we saw the country basically divided in terms of the weather we saw. Down south near Austin, Texas, we saw a major flooding due to a storm that went through there. It also went through the Oklahoma City region where a tornado actually touched down. But right now, the city's actually trying to deal with the massive amounts of rain still on the roads. There are about 7 inches in total that fell. Over in California, though, the citrus groves there, they're finding a unique way to keep those trees watered. They're actually spraying white paint on them to reflect all the sunlight to keep all the water inside them from evaporating. It kind of acts as like a sunblock like you would put on to keep your skin safe. But it seems to be proving effective as they're saving more water than they have before. We are watching our drought monitor here, though, and we see a lot of the country still in that drought state. A lot of this area here highlighted is basically below average precipitation. California, the darkest red, That's because they're in a pretty severe drought. But so is most of the Midwest and the southern states. Good news though, we did see a lot of relief come over the past 2 days here in the 7th and 8th of May. We saw a major low pressure system form up in Wisconsin and Minnesota here, and a cold front stretched all the way down to Texas. And because of that cold front, all the moisture from the Gulf was able to rise up into the air. And you can see here as the precipitation started fell, it just accumulated and accumulated over this region here, gave a lot of relief to those drought states. 7 inches down in Oklahoma and Austin, Texas, and boy, do they need it. And you can just see this band form as the storm kept on tracking eastward, and it was just a really good thing to see that drought break. But California is still looking for a little bit of rain. Hopefully they'll get some of it. With all this rain though, like grass in your backyard is going to keep growing and growing, but there's a few things you should know if you want to take care of it.
The weather is changing in the Red River Valley of North Dakota, and people are busy getting their lawns ready for the year. While mowing is important, just remember that you may want to be careful how low you go.
And you definitely don't want to mow it down to the roots. 3 inches to 3.5 inches is a preferred height of mowing.
This time of year is known for renewed lawn life, but it does have some downsides.
Dandelions, Canadian thistle, we get a lot of creeping Charlie.
A well-planted and cared-for tree can do wonders to the appeal of your lawn and liven up your neighborhood. However, you do have to make sure you choose the right one.
You know, depending on the type of plant that you install, some trees have drop acidic needles and stuff like that. That can kill an area around a plant.
If your lawn has any dead areas, just know you can always try and reseed.
Try get native, you know, a lot of the stores are selling grass seeds from Oregon and all over.
And those imported seeds from other parts of the country generally don't do as well as homegrown varieties. Getting started on the perfect lawn is not always easy, but with the summer coming, you can be sure your grass will want to grow. I'm Nick Johnsrud reporting for Studio One.
Now, although that might sound like a lot of work to keep your grass green, there's nothing better than feeling that green grass below your feet in summertime. That brings us to our weather question of the week. When does hurricane season officially start? Is it May 10th, June 1st, July 4th, or August 22nd? And the answer is actually June 1st. That's when it officially starts, but we've already seen a few tropical storms actually start.
All right, thanks, Morgan. Let's head now to Will with a story about a man with a unique hobby.
All right, thanks, Tasha. Many have different ways to escape the worries we face in our daily lives. One man goes back to the simple times to restore peace of mind.
Behind this rigid chain fence lies a pile of scrap metal pumps and old blades. To most, these piles mean nothing, but for Dan Herrig, it means much more.
It all started with my dad, and that when I was about 8 years old.
Dan and his pup Penny spend countless hours among these piles. When they are picked apart and put together just perfectly, it is no longer junk you see, but a work of art, something his father would be proud of.
He kind of got into collecting windmills. At first he wanted 1 or 2, and then it became 3 or 4, 5, 10, 20, 50.
Dan and his family collect and restore old farm windmills. These are the forgotten farm fixtures that used to dot rural America. He brings these classic to life, allowing their past beauty to peek through to the present.
Generally when we're painting one and restoring for new, it's painted with new. We're not very good at distressing.
These forgotten fixtures originally were sources of running water and machinery. Dan understands they may no longer be necessary, but they shouldn't be forgotten.
They're getting very hard to find. We're going to try to restore it as correctly as we can to the way it was originally made. Well, this one I bought on eBay.
He displays these antique pieces of art in memory of his father, allowing his dreams to sail in serenity. With photographer Marty Mueller, I'm Ella Dorner, reporting for Studio One.
After 2 years of hard work, Dan will be finished with his most recent masterpiece. It will be shown in the Texas Windmill Museum for hundreds of fans.
Thanks, Phil. When you think of Australian wildlife, you most likely picture a koala or a kangaroo. Next, we'll see some animals that are a little more rare and a little less furry.
Closed captioning for Studio One is underwritten in part by NDAD, helping others to help themselves.
To have the future you want and a career you'll be proud of, you'll need a great education. The University of North Dakota can get you there with more than 225 degree programs, preparing you for today's fastest growing, high demand careers like medicine and health professions, aerospace, business, engineering, and energy. Schedule your campus visit today at und.edu/go, because to succeed, you need to be exceptional.
Yeah, okay, science meets imagination. Life changed by innovation. Through the future of our nation. Engineers the occupation. UND College of Engineering and Mines. Invest in your mind to stay with the times. Formulas, machines, and all that's in between. They teach it all from wall to wall to help you succeed. Come on, it could be electrical, chemical, or civil. Our world-class staff will help you make it all official. Mechanical, petroleum, geology align at the
UND's College of Engineering and Mines.
Okay, become a leader, prove yourself among all your peers. Changing the world begins right here. You're not alone, but in the plan, we'll take your hand and help you stand with mentorship and advising. We'll do all we can. Okay, so if you wanna join the party, simply calculate. The math adds up, so never think to hesitate. Education, leadership, and dreams combined at the UND College of Engineering and Mines.
Closed captioning for Studio One is supported in part by the Listen Center, enriching the lives of people who have intellectual disabilities with choices in community recreation.
A study published by Psychology Today says people benefit in many different ways from being surrounded by animals. Some people have the pleasure of experiencing this every day at work. The Red River Zoo's Erica Prokrim brought some animals from the other side of the planet. Thanks for being with us today, Erica.
Oh, my pleasure.
So I know you brought some Australian animals with you, but you also brought somebody else, right?
I did actually. I brought my assistant today. Her name is Tessa Swanson, and she's actually my assistant currently. In the summer, she's going to be our lead junior zookeeper coordinator.
Great.
Which is our really cool teenager program.
Awesome. So can you tell me a little bit about the friend you have with you right now?
Yes, this is actually Miss Callie. She is a lesser sulfur-crested cockatoo, and she's actually a critically endangered animal.
Okay, so is she a popular animal then?
She is a popular animal in the pet trade, and it's in fact what caused her to become endangered. She is fairly common in the pet trade, as I said, but she was so popular that they took a lot of them out of the wild so that their native populations were actually damaged.
I know that there are many different types of cockatoos. What sets her apart from the other type?
Mostly her looks. You'll notice she's got these beautiful yellow feathers on her crest here. Sulfur, that's what the sulfur in her name refers to as yellow. She's got the yellow in her crest. She's also got this beautiful yellow coloration in her wings.
Very beautiful.
And she can actually be told by the yellow spots on her cheeks.
Okay,
too.
Very cool. So I know that this animal is known for their loud vocalizations as well. Why is that?
Well, they're not going to sound like the birds outside your window here in Fargo. She's a rainforest bird, so those calls have to be heard really far through dense foliage, through a lot of that background noise of being in a forest with lots of animals and, you know, rain falling and that sort of thing. And so it's actually a very harsh sound.
And you mentioned to me earlier that she's an intelligent animal. Why is that?
They're very social animals, and so they name their babies. They know their names by the time they're 3 weeks old. And they work together in groups too, even when they're eating. A group will eat on the forest floor, and one bird will actually keep watch from the tree and will call out when it sees danger. So they do stuff like that.
That's incredible. And actually we can switch to the next animal if you want to tell me a little bit about what's coming up.
So our next animal is a reptile, and he's actually from Australia proper. A lot of people, when they think of Australia, You know, they think of it as a dry, desert, sandy place, and so he's from that sort of environment. You can tell from his coloration.
What's the name?
He's actually a inland bearded dragon.
Okay. Why is it named bearded dragon?
He's named bearded dragon because he's got this cool flap of skin under his chin here called a dewlap. And when he's trying to impress the ladies, or if he's feeling nervous, he'll actually puff it up big, and he'll puff the rest of his body up big, and his beard will get dark. And he'll try to scare that predator away.
So when you hear dragon, it's kind of scary and it sounds dangerous. Are they dangerous?
Oh, this guy is totally not dangerous at all. He actually is also found in the pet trade as well, fairly common. But dragon's actually a common term for a lot of the different kinds of lizards you find from that part of the world.
Oh,
like
okay.
Komodo dragon?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, same thing.
What types of food does this one eat?
He's an omnivore, so he likes to eat a little bit of everything. At the zoo, he actually eats crickets, mealworms, and a variety of produce items like lettuce and green beans.
Oh, yum. So what's his natural habitat?
Natural habitat's going to be the drier, sandier areas of Australia. He likes to kind of get up in a nice perch area, on the top of a rock or something, survey the area, look for something tasty, and go find it, while avoiding being eaten by birds of prey. So that's his life.
Great. Well, we can switch on to the next animal, but in the meanwhile, how big does this animal get?
So what you're seeing right here is a normal size for a bearded dragon. They can get to be up to 2 feet long. I'm using water here on my hands though because my next animal is actually an amphibian, and I want to make sure that I don't dry out her skin too much.
Okay, and what animal is that?
So this is actually a cane toad.
A cane toad, you said?
Yes.
And how big does this animal get?
They get to be about this big. The toads that you find on the edge of their range are going to be leggier as opposed to the toads that are found more in the original areas of their range. Ooh,
all right.
Sorry, just give me a second here.
So you mentioned earlier that this is a poisonous animal. Is that bad for us? Is that dangerous?
The only recorded deaths from cane toad poison are actually from people that ate the cane toad. What they do is they actually secrete it from between their shoulder blades.
Oh, okay. What kind of food, I guess, does this animal eat?
This is also an omnivore, and that's part of the reason why there's such a problem in Australia right now, is they like to eat anything that basically fits in their mouths. So they're out competing the local frogs, and also that toxin is killing the snakes that try to eat them.
Okay, so you said it's a part of the problem. What other problems do they cause?
So as I said, they're out competing both the native wildlife and then killing off their predators.
Okay, and you said it's an invasive species. What does that mean?
So invasive species are animals that are introduced either on purpose or on accident to an area where they're not from, that are out competing the local wildlife and replacing them. So like Australia's snake population is being affected in the fact that they're getting more of the smaller snakes, and because the cane toads are killing off the bigger snakes that are trying to eat them.
Okay, can you find this type of toad in your backyard?
You would definitely not find them here in your backyard in Fargo. You'd find them in the Amazonian rainforest.
Okay.
And they're not a problem at all because they've co-evolved with other predators that can handle their toxin.
Okay, and one last question for you. How does the zoo get access to all of these animals?
Well, we're an AZA accredited institution, so that means that we actually have a lot of sister zoos that we can trade animals with, and that's very common nowadays. And that way zoos don't have to rely on interrupting and disrupting native populations of wild animals. Okay. Some of the animals you saw today are actually rescues, where we were taking someone's pet they could no longer care for. But the thing you have to remember with our animals is that a lot of our animals that we use as our program animals that have been rescues, they can live for 20 years or more. Our cockatoo you saw today, she can live to be 80 years old. So obviously the zoo cannot take a lot of them.
Right.
But those are some of the lucky few that we've been able to rescue.
Awesome. Well, great. Thanks for being with us today. Thanks for bringing all of your friends as well.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
Coming up, college athletes balance a lot of responsibility when at school. We will meet one baseball player who has overcome more than just practices and papers.
Studio One closed captioning is underwritten in part by Options, your disability information source.
not the size of the woman in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the woman.
To have the future you want and a career you'll be proud of, you'll need a great education. The University of North Dakota can get you there with more than 225 degree programs, preparing you for today's fastest growing, high demand careers, like medicine and health professions, aerospace, business, engineering, and energy. Schedule your campus visit today at und.edu/go, because to succeed, you need to be exceptional.
North Dakota is facing challenges in healthcare delivery. The University of North Dakota School of Medicine and Health Sciences is building a place to help meet the state's healthcare needs. In addition to a new structure, we're also building interaction between healthcare professionals while building a workforce through expanding class sizes. We're inspiring our youth to engage in healthcare careers and exploring ways to reduce disease. It starts here and ends here, building a better future for North Dakota.
Others live to their full potential, improve clients' mental and physical well-being, excel in one of the top healthcare careers of the future. Occupational therapy students at the University of North Dakota experience high-quality education in small classes.
Has to come to 45 degrees, even in a normal motion pattern.
Your healthcare career begins at the University of North Dakota.
If you would like to attend a live show, go to our website at studio1.und.edu.
A Maryland family is being investigated by social services after allowing their children to walk home alone from a local park. The Métis family supports the free-range kids movement, which encourages childhood independence. However, one Washington Post article says this movement is raising concerns about child safety. Cases of unsupervised kids could land parents in hot water or, in some cases, handcuffs. We wanted your thoughts on if it should be up to parents or the law enforcement to determine when and how children are supervised.
If the parents are around and are involved, and they're a helicopter mom, that says something. The kids are more accountable.
I think it should be up to the parents to decide. I think they know their kids best, and they can kind of keep track of them as much or as little as they want.
I think it would depend on where you're at and the age of the child. You know, if they're old enough to be on their own, they should be able to go pretty much anywhere they want.
I think that it should be left up to the parents, but they need to have strict rules for themselves to govern when the kids can be left alone.
I'm from a really small town, and it was just kind of expected, you know, that we'd be supervised. Our parents expected us to be supervised when we were out, and I think it was expected for cops to, you know, check the spots that should be supervised as well.
A comment from Facebook from Mike in St. Cloud, Minnesota says, it should always be on the parents to know where the kids are and to ensure they're going to a safe place and have a way of communicating. Zach from Minneapolis, Minnesota says, I believe law enforcement is there to establish ground rules, but it's the parents who should enforce said rules on their children.
Americans are proud of their sports, and baseball might be at the very part of that pride. We met one slugger whose passion for baseball has a different rhythm.
As soon as the snow melts in North Dakota, the baseball bats start swinging, and Americans all around the country step up to the plate. Except for Brett Harrison. His love for baseball took a little longer to develop.
I grew up playing hockey like every other Canadian.
Brett picked up the bat in his hometown Winnipeg when he was 15, and he got good fast. Good enough to bring his talents across the border to the University of North Dakota.
This was one of my options, and I jumped on it right away because it was nice and close to home.
30, Brett Harrison.
But the transition wasn't easy.
Stepping in, just having to handle the pitching staff was a a lot at first to kind of adjust to, especially coming from high school.
As if being a starting catcher wasn't hard enough, Brett is also a freshman.
They don't see him as a freshman. I do know that. They really look up to him as far as his leadership ability.
Brett has a heart for the game of baseball, but there's something about him that you can't see. And if you were to take a guess, it would probably be a swing and a miss.
A lot of us didn't even know for the first couple months of the season that or from the year that he even had one.
When Brett was 2 years old, he was diagnosed with DSD, also known as a hole in the heart. This means that oxygenated and deoxygenated blood is mixing. This may lead to higher pressure in the heart or reduced oxygen to the body.
And that's not very good, as they say. So when I was 2, I had open heart surgery, and basically they patched that up, and now I have a pacemaker.
And there's only a leather glove standing between him and fastballs, reaching almost 90 miles per hour.
I think it scares my mom more than anything than it does myself.
He does not want any special treatment from his team.
It doesn't really hinder him, I don't think, a whole lot. And if it did, he wouldn't tell us anyways.
And, it was just one of those things that he said, hey, don't ever look at me any differently because I have one. Just let me go about my business and let me do my thing and play hard every day.
And it does seem that baseball will stay in his heart in a different pace for a very long time.
Just coaching somewhere, I just love the game and want to be part of it for as long as I can.
With photographer Marty Mueller, I'm Eirik Nilsson-Brotley reporting for Studio One.
Brett has to wear a protective guard on his chest during games to protect himself from baseballs, but he says it doesn't bother him that much.
Thanks, Will. And that's our show for today. We'll be taking a break over the summer, but we'll be back with more news and more stories in the fall.
As always, you can follow us through social media or get more information on our website. We're going to leave you now with pictures of our cast and crew. From all of us here at Studio One, have a great summer.